What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the attic. This week, we'll have UFC 326 to look forward to. But before we get into predictions, let's have a look at what happened last week. We're going to be starting off with the worst event of the week, LFA 227. We had 4 predictions on this card where we went 2-2. Unfortunately, we bet on all favorites on this card, and so the 2 losses hurt pretty bad. In total, we ended up down 7.14 units on this card for an ROI of negative 21%. Fortunately, that wasn't the only event of the week. We also had one Friday Fights 144. As expected on these Muay Thai cards, there wasn't a lot, but we did have a single wager that we cashed for a 1.5 unit profit. Finally, we had UFC Fight Night Moreno versus Kavanaugh. This card was an absolute killer for us. We went 12 out of 13 on predictions for a 12.57 unit profit. The only loss we had on the entire card was Daniel Zellhuber. For the second time in a row, he lost us money as a big favorite. As always, we closed out the weekend with our weekly bonus. This time, it was $2.20 to close out our bankroll at $834.03. One unit this week will be $8.34, with 1.5 units being $12.51. Getting right into this week's card, where we'll be starting off in the light heavyweight division with a bout between Luke Fernandez and Rodolfo Bellato. We've got a lot of wager history on Bellato, but for some reason, he just never makes it to the actual fight. In the past, he was a favorite on all of the canceled wagers, but the only time that we cashed it all, we bet against him as a reasonable-sized underdog. In this fight, we'll again be betting against Bellato. I took Luke Fernandez as a minus 210 favorite for 3.15 units. Fight 2 is down at featherweight between Gaston Bolaños and Jung Young Lee. A little bit of wager history here, where we've gone 1-1 for basically a complete wash. This weekend, I've bet on Jung Young Lee. All 3 models are fairly confident, sitting around 66%. So I picked him up as a minus 255 favorite for 3.82 units. We'll be back at light heavyweight for the 3rd fight when DR Nergizay takes on Rafael Tobias. Of these 2 fighters, we've only ever bet on Nergizay fights. I've taken him as a moderate underdog and a moderate favorite, losing both of those for a 1.1 unit loss overall. It seems that the models have decided to change it up. This time, we'll be betting against Nergizay. I risked 3.75 units on Rafael Tobias as a minus 250 favorite. The 4th fight of the night is a flyweight bout between Jesus Aguilar and Sumu Darji. This is a terrible betting record between these two. I've gone 0-4 wagering on 2 fights for each of these fighters. In total, my loss is 2.28 units. Hopefully we can turn things around this time. The models are reasonably confident from 55 to 62% in the plus 190 underdog Jesus Aguilar. I ended up risking 1.5 units to return 2.85 units with a win. Next up will be Naim Jargal to Mendenbarrel taking on Cody Durden. I've got a couple wagers against Cody Durden. Both times he was an underdog, and we cashed both of those, profiting 0.96 units. Nothing new here. Cody Durden is again the underdog, and again I will be betting against him. I took Nimejargle to Minden Barrel as a minus 170 favorite for 2.55 units. We'll be moving back to featherweight for a bout between Alberto Montes and Ricky Tercios. I have no wager history here that's actually made it to fight time. In this fight, I'll be taking Alberto Montes as a minus 185 for 2.77 units. Our first middleweight fight of the night will see Cody Brundage taking on Dante Johnson. I've got quite a bit of wager history here. 4 on Cody Brundage fights and 1 Dante Johnson fight, cashing all 5 of them. In total, I've profited 3.6 units on fights involving these two fighters. On this weekend's fight, all 3 models and the books are extremely confident in Dante Johnson. He's a minus 500 favorite, so it cost me 7.5 units to lay a wager on him. The last fight on the prelims is a bantamweight matchup between Long Zhao and Cody Garbrandt. I've bet against each of these fighters one time in the past, cashing on both of those for a total profit of just under 1 unit. This time, I'll be risking my money on Long Zhao. The models are all pretty confident, but they do spread pretty far between 61% and 75.5%. In total, I risked 2.4 units to return 1.5 units with a win. We're back at middleweight for the main card opener, this bout between Bruno Ferreira and Gregory Rodriguez. Plenty of wagers between these two guys, going 4 and 2 in total for a profit of 1.23 units. This weekend, I've placed my money on the underdog Bruno Ferreira as a plus 165. It cost me 1.5 units, and with a win, I will return 2.47 units of profit. Next up is a lightweight bout between Drew Dober and Michael Johnson. I've gone 50-50 on Drew Dober fights for a small loss, and I've lost 100% of the Michael Johnson bets that I've made because Daniel Zellhuber absolutely sucks. On this weekend's card, I placed a bet on Drew Dober as a plus 135 underdog. All 3 models are quite confident in him as an underdog, and I ended up risking 1.5 units. Our feature bout is a bantamweight matchup between Raul Rosas Jr. and Rob Font. Wager history here is not too bad. In total, I've gone 2 and 1 for a 0.59 unit profit. This time around, I'm taking Raul Rosas Jr. as a minus 225 favorite for 3.37 units. Kyle Borhalo takes on Rene De Ritter in our co-main event at middleweight. The wager history here is not so good. Between these two fighters, I have a record of 1 and 3 for a total loss of 2.85 units. At the books, Kyle Borhalo is a pretty sizable minus 270 favorite. All 3 models do favor him, with the percentages being pretty spread out. With the current betting strategy, those percentages hardly matter though. I spent 4.05 units on Kyle Borhalo to return 1.5 units with a win. Finally, our main event is a lightweight bout between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. In the past, I've wagered on 3 fights involving these two, holding a record of 2 and 1. Unfortunately, despite a winning record, our profit is only 6 cents. For Saturday's main event, I picked up Max Holloway as a minus 213 favorite for 3.19 units. That's all the fights on this card, so let's flip over to our totals and see where all of our money went. This card has 13 total fights on it, and I placed wagers on every single one of those fights. 10 of those wagers were on the favorites, and all 10 of those were confident predictions. The other 3 were on underdogs, and they also are all confident predictions. In total, my risk is pretty small at only 41.06 units, and with a perfect night, I can return a profit of 22.35 units. This is the only card that I was able to make predictions on this week, so as always, thanks for watching, and good luck on all of your bets this weekend.